You wake up at 3 a.m. again, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she's thinking about you too. The silence feels deafening. The bed feels too big, and that gnawing question keeps eating at you. What happens now? But here's what I need to tell you first. What I'm about to reveal will completely change how you see this situation. There are 3 stages that happen after someone leaves you, and the 3rd stage is where everything gets interesting. But you need to understand the first 2 stages first, because skipping ahead will ruin everything. Most people think being left behind is just about missing someone. They think it's about loneliness or hurt feelings. But that's not even close to the real story. The real story has 3 acts, and if you don't understand all 3, you'll stay stuck in Act 1 forever. She lost you. But what she doesn't know yet is that she just triggered something that's going to change everything about who you become. There's a psychological pattern that happens to people who get left behind, and it's the complete opposite of what everyone expects. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start with stage 1. Stage 1 is what you're feeling right now. You're going to feel like you're drowning. Every morning will feel like swimming upstream against a current that's trying to pull you back to memories of her. You'll catch yourself reaching for your phone to text her something funny, only to remember she's not there anymore. This isn't weakness. This is your brain doing exactly what it's supposed to do when something important gets ripped away. But here's what's crucial about stage 1, and why you can't skip it. This pain is actually rewiring your neural pathways. Your brain is literally restructuring itself right now. Think about it. While you're replaying every conversation, every fight, every moment where you could have done something different, something invisible is happening inside your mind, something that's going to make stage 2 possible. But stage 1 has a hidden trap. Most people get stuck here because they don't understand what this pain is actually preparing them for. They think the goal is to stop hurting, but stopping the hurt too early means you never get to stage 2, and stage 2 is where things get really interesting. You see, when someone leaves you, they don't just take themselves away, they take the version of yourself that existed only in relation to them, the version that compromised parts of who you were to fit into their world, the version that maybe dimmed your light to make them feel brighter. And this is where stage 2 begins. But stage 2 only works if you've fully processed stage 1, because stage 2 requires something that most people aren't willing to do. Here's what happens in stage 2. You start to remember who you were before her. Not just remember, but actually become that person again. Except there's a twist. You don't become exactly who you were before. You become who you were before, plus everything you learned while you were with her. This is where it gets psychological. Your brain has been collecting data this entire time. Every compromise you made, every time you shrunk yourself, every moment you chose her happiness over your own authenticity. Your subconscious has been keeping track of all of it. Stage 2 is when that data gets processed, when you start making different choices. When you start saying yes to opportunities you would have said no to because they didn't fit into her timeline. When you reconnect with friends who knew you before you became half of a couple. But here's the thing about stage 2 that nobody talks about. It's completely useless without stage 3. You can rediscover yourself all you want, but if you don't understand stage 3, you'll just repeat the same patterns with someone new. Stage 3 is where everything changes. Stage 3 is where you become someone she can never have back, even if she wanted to. Not because you're trying to punish her, but because of what happens to people who complete all 3 stages. In stage 3, you don't just remember who you were. You don't just become a better version of yourself. You become someone who can never be left the same way again. Because stage 3 rewrites your entire relationship blueprint. Let me explain what I mean. Right now, she's probably telling herself she made the right choice. She's probably convincing herself that letting you go was necessary for her happiness. She's moving forward, maybe already talking to someone new, thinking she's traded up. But what she doesn't understand is that by leaving you, she just created her own worst nightmare. She created someone who no longer needs her validation, someone who learned to be whole without her, someone who discovered what it feels like to choose themselves first. This is the part that's going to mess with her head. Because in stage 3, you don't become someone who's trying to win her back. You become someone who genuinely doesn't need her to come back. And there's nothing more attractive than someone who's genuinely content with their own company. She's going to notice. Maybe not today, maybe not next month, but eventually. She's going to hear about your promotion, see pictures of you traveling, notice how genuinely happy you look in photos with friends. She's going to wonder if she made the right choice. But here's the beautiful part about stage 3. By then, you won't need her wondering. You won't need her validation anymore, because you'll have built something she can never touch. Not out of spite, not out of revenge, but out of necessity. Because when someone shows you that your love wasn't enough for them, stage 3 teaches you to give that love to yourself first. And once you learn that skill, once you master being your own source of validation and happiness, you become unstoppable. The woman who left you is about to learn something that will keep her awake at night. Some people, once lost, can never be found again. Not because they're hiding, but because they've grown into someone entirely new. Someone who no longer fits in the space she left behind. This is what happens to people who complete all 3 stages. They learn to never leave themselves again. They learn that the most important relationship they'll ever have is the one with themselves. They learn that being chosen is nice, but choosing yourself is everything. So yes, she lost you. She walked away from someone who would have moved mountains for her. Someone who saw forever in her eyes. Someone who believed in the two of you even when things got difficult. But what happens next isn't about her anymore. What happens next is about you completing these 3 stages and discovering that you're not just someone who can be loved. You're someone who deserves to be loved correctly, completely, and without reservation. And until that person comes along, until someone shows up who recognizes your worth and never makes you question it, you'll be perfectly fine on your own. Better than fine, actually. You'll be free. You'll be complete. You'll be someone who can never be left the same way again. This is your time. This is your transformation. This is what happens next when you understand all 3 stages and refuse to skip any of them.